Also, what should be on the on Moodle is the ARG Classic file, and you should really be putting it to ARG Classic if you're going to follow through some of my commands. You don't have to, it's not compulsory. You can have the ribbons there if you want to. If you're a ribbon sort of person. So class exercise 1 is now available. Here it is here. And under Moodle, under information on Moodle, should be ARG Classic. Click on that and download the classic file. AutoCAD, come in the bottom, type OP. Options. Import AutoCAD Classic, open, apply and close, set current, and OK. One last thing to do, go to Dynamic, make sure those are all ticked, unticked. Now, we've been asked down the bottom to draw contours every half metre. Once again, I'm going to think laterally. So before, to get the point 2s, we drew the point 1s on. Now I'm not going to draw the point 1s on here, or I'll take forever. And I'll never actually get the job finished. But to do 0.5s, what I could do is draw every metre and then draw in between them, which would be a much quicker way of doing the 0.5s. Once again, I'm assuming an even slope. And by the way, this is how surveyors try to get a better picture of what a job looks like. So a typical job that you might get in a consultancy is, hey Roger, there's a primary school playground out in Birkenhead that's having trouble with flooding. Can you go with a chainman or another engineer and go and do a quick survey to see where the water's going and how we can fix it, right? We've got a bitumen truck is going to be in the region next week, so if we can go and survey it, get a rough idea of where things should be, we can fix up their flooding issues. Okay. So you go on site, and you've got this quite big flat area, maybe twice the size of this room, where the kids play. But you can see already that somebody's driven big trucks on site, maybe relocated some buildings or something. And there's big rivets in the playground, big dumps all over the place. And it's very uneven. You can see where huge puddles have been formed and kids ended up walking into them. So, as a surveyor, as an engineer doing a survey, what you do is you mark out a grid. It might be a 1 metre grid, 2 metre, 3 metre, depending on the size. And you just simply come along with your Dago spray, little orange can or white or yellow or something, and just go and then go 1, 2, 1, 2 with stepping. So you've approximately marked out a grid, which means when you take levels, you're very consistently taking them around the place, rather than just take them spot levels around. So the contours will end up being quite consistent as well. And that means when you work out how much bitumen's needed, or whether, because you can only put so much bitumen down, and you're going to need some base course, which means you might have to completely rebase course the whole lot, and then and then bring your bitumen in at the end. So you can do some quite good calcs back at the office as to what's required, just because you very cleverly did a grid system when you surveyed it. And really, honestly, it doesn't take very long. I've done quite a few of these out in the field. My guys gave me quite a hard time. I was the one out there with the staff in the freezing cold snow. I was the one that backed off with the walkie-talkie and fell over the side of a cliff in the snow, so I only kind of winded myself. The staff stayed up the top and started going like that, and the walkie-talkie was way over there. I could hear them yelling, "Hold it straight, you idiot," and I was down the cliff. So yeah, that's what happens when you're only 19, 20 and the rest of the crew are closing in on 30 and been doing it for 10 years. And no, I don't hold any grudges against bloody engineers, bloody surveyors. Yeah. And then when it was a lovely sunny day and we all had our shirts off sunbathing, I got told to stand in the freezing cold shade and do the instrument work. Well, they had their shirts off because they had to be nice and brown for the ladies. So they had their shirts off going around having a good time just holding the staff. And this is an example where they'd have their shirts off just doing the easy work. And they'd be yelling out to me, they'd be running between the grids going, "Now, shot, now, wait, what's wrong with you? Taking ages, blah, blah, blah," yeah. Not that I hold any grudges against them either. I did 6 months of surveying. We started off in the 30-degree heat and ended up in, as I said before, snow. When we did the snow, they tended to be in the four-wheel drive with the heater going. They even had little gloves with little wee bits cut out so they could do the instruments. And they made me set it up right beside the four-wheel drive vehicle so that all they had to do was move the window down about this much, do the shot, and then the window went back up again. They would walkie-talkie me to another position. Yeah. I got a few stories. They used to play cards at lunchtime for money, and it was always me that lost. And so I always had to shout the ice creams on the way home. I don't know, I never knew what they were doing. I'm sure they were cheating. So you will, from time to time, get sent out with surveyors. I'm just pre-warning you. But in smaller offices, 2 engineers will go out and do a survey together, depending on the budget. In this case, I've brought back some levels, and I'm trying to do every half a metre contour. So I'll cut to the mustard here rather than make this drag it out. I'm going to do an estimate eyeball here, and my mate over there is going to hate it because it really isn't that accurate, but I can test it in a minute. So I tend to do my contours as P-lines, it's easier to break them, and I'll snap on there. As you can see, it's a whole contour there. Quite funny, with my diploma class, I asked for half a bonus point in their assignment. Can anyone tell me where a good place is to start? And the hands went up, 53. I know this student was like, "Oh wow, I've nailed a half a mark." I said, "No, don't you remember what Ingrid said? The best place to start is to make a layer called contour." Okay, so he didn't really see the funny side of that. The rest of the class did. So he didn't get his half mark. So I'm making a layer up here called contour. All right, I'll get plenty of time to do that for you, but I won't do it to you today. P-line from here. Now, this is where I've got to do some eyeballing. 53.62, 52.91, closer to the 91, about there, done. 50, 2.75, 53.85, 84, it's a lot closer to this side. 54.1, that's actually 54, so it's gone past 53. 53 is going to be about, 54 is going to be about there. 53 is going down a bit further about there, and of course back on the other side. So that's my first guesstimate. I'm going to now do a 52. So this is 51.9. It's going to be a wee bit up from that, about there. 51.81, about there. 52.75, 54.25, a third of the way. Back down here again, and pretty close to the end. Okay, 54, just a bit above there. Coming over here, 54, 54, it's going to be about halfway actually. That one's going to be a lot closer to the 84. Now we've got a problem, we've got to go between here and here. So it's going to be 15, 16, about halfway. I said it was about there. And back up to 54 up the top. And then in order to do the half contours, I'm just going to simply go between them, split the difference. Now it may not be perfect, we'll have a look in a minute. How long did that take? Probably just a bit over a minute. Let's see how accurate I am. You can do the same yourself at any point you like by turning on a layer called Answer. And you can see, yeah, it's not too bad. I like the bottom too, they're very close. The middle one's out a little bit. Look, that is accurate enough to do an approximation for a client on a quote for resealing that playground. And I haven't taken all day about it. I didn't do a 3D model, which would have taken quite a lot longer. I didn't do the calculation with my calculator. I didn't do Ingrid's notes. And so you can see that the more experienced you get, the quicker and closer you're going to get to the right contours. Now, if a student did that for me and handed it in as their contour file, it's out of 2. I think that's closing in on getting 1 out of 2. So it would take you probably the best part of 5 minutes to do your whole assignment. Whereas calculation-wise, you could spend 3 or 4 hours on it, just trying to put it into context. You're your own bosses. And sometimes at work you have to make these decisions too. Can I do that quickly, or do I want to spend all afternoon and get it?